Hey yo! So we got another Neca Gremlin dual unboxing and review. Gonna start off with Santa Stripe, kind of in order of release. And let me tell you, first of all, this box is pretty dang sweet. Of course, it's got the awesome looking Santa Stripe, kind of out of season, but I don't care. And then the little gizmo there in the bag, which is what everybody really wants this figure for. But honestly, I want it for both. And let me tell you, this figure was a pain to get. Not only did my Target never receive any of these figures, but they just jacked up in price over on eBay. So I had to spend $47, I believe it was, on this figure, which was much more than I'd normally be willing to pay, but I just really wanted this figure for my collection. And it's almost like a 2-in-1. You get the 4-inch or 2-inch gizmo, as well as Santa Stripe. All right, a dope background as well. Sort of like the plain version of the box. But I mean, come on, how could you not want this absolutely sick looking gremlin? Anyways, start popping things out of the plastic. Okay, everything is out, including the Santa Stripe, which is what I want to save for last, actually. Start off with the kind of smaller things. This would be his little sack here, which is, ow, I'm surprised. It is actually wired, so you'll be able to pose it slightly, which is a very good touch. It's wired through the seam on the side here, as well as the top, which is a very, I did not expect this, but it's a very good feature. Thinking about it, it's a small thing, but the more I think about it, this will be very useful when trying to pose both the gizmo in the bag or just him holding the sack. And speaking of gizmo, we're gonna go straight to him. What everybody's hunted for, the 1.5-inch, 2-inch looking small little gremlin. Let me get the camera moved down. It's the gizmo here. Even with it being at this size, it still has a ball joint at the head, neck area, as well as a few joints in the wrists, as well as the shoulders, so you can pose it ever so slightly if need be. Very cool touch and very detailed as well for that size. Candy cane, which will actually fit into his little thumbless hands. He's got a little candy cane there he can hold while he's being kidnapped. And then the little string, which is also a very small addition you can use to tie the bag shut at the top there. Now I say we move on to the main figure here, the Santa Stripe gremlin. So his hat is actually connected straight to the beard, and it's one piece that sort of wraps around the front of his face, which looks pretty good, actually. The little elastic that's holding it there, that elastic there is almost invisible if you adjust it in the right position. The hat is also wired, which will leave for better posability there on top as well, which I love. But yeah, it's the same striped figure from the Ultimate Stripe Gremlin pack, except for the fact that it is wearing this complete Santa velvet suit, which is very neat. Articulation is the same as every other figure, like normal. Clearly it's going to be slightly limited in some places due to the suit, and also it's gonna be a bit difficult to see how, if the joints are turned here or not, due to the suit being covering his exact elbow parts, but I think that's not a huge deal. You can just toy with it and figure it out. This is a crazy cool figure. A little out of season, but I don't really care. It's still a dope figure either way. It looks like you can remove almost all of the suit here, which will still show paint. They still left the paint job on the figure, which is a nice touch. I mean, I'm never gonna take this off. This makes the figure. Why would you want to take off the suit? I don't know. But yeah, definitely stoked. A little pricey, but honestly, that's just because of the resale value. Not horrible. I say we pose him up with the bag, try to get him close to what is represented on the box. All right, so I kind of posed him in a sitting position, as I'm going to have him displayed sitting on the edge of a shelf, sort of dangling gizmo over. And it looks pretty neat. Looks pretty neat having him in this sack there. As with most of these Neca Gremlins, kind of have to toy with it to get it in the right position you're looking for. I was actually going to go for the one in the box, but the one in the box had it sort of kneeling, and that just took up too much space. considering how many Gremlins I have. I need it in a more confined space, and this looks pretty neat. You can argue if it was worth the $47 I paid for it. I think it's a very neat figure either way, price aside, and I think I'm going to enjoy it. So yeah, awesome to add to the collection. Now it's time for everybody's favorite female Gremlin, Greta. Might I add, the only female Gremlin to ever exist. Looks pretty cool though. Lots of room for detail, but I still think she's overhyped. That statement is probably filled with controversy, but I think she's overhyped. Don't get me wrong, still looks pretty cool. Background is a little plain in my opinion, but no one really buys it for the background, so that's fine. Let's start popping things out. Alright, first thing I'm noticing is pretty obvious that her hair is just all over the place. It might be hard to pick up the thinner strands, but it is just all over the place, and I can imagine it taking quite a while to pose the hair into a place where it doesn't look like she just got out of bed. Also, the bottom skirt piece, I would have expected it to be more of a fabric material. It's more just a softer plastic. Not a big deal, just something I expected. So she got these hands here that are kind of just like her resting hands, I guess, if you want to just have her holding nothing. I don't see why you would want her to be doing nothing if she's got these crazy accessories, so let's pop these off. Now she actually can grip on to her potion here. It makes it seem like these hands are supposed to hold the potion, but they're just way too big and it just doesn't grip onto it all. So she kind of just awkwardly pinches the pinches the top of the potion there, which is kind of weird, but all right. But honestly, screw the potion. We got the boa here. I see we wrapped the boa around her. Here she is with the iconic boa. Definitely gets in the way with her hair. Maybe I should bring some to the front like this. Hey, and while I'm doing all this crap, you can go and follow my Twitch. I'm always streaming on there, so honestly, why not? It's in the description. You don't gotta go anywhere, you lazy bum. Just click the link down there. And if you're a Fortnite kid, you can use my creator code in the item shop, ACOMP83. If you like Fortnite, you can use it. If you don't, then alright. This boa is extremely tough to work with, and I left this here to show that it does in fact make a mess. Kind of expected that though, so I'm not gonna harsh on that. I knew once I saw those feathers that they would be everywhere. But yeah, having the boa like this almost makes me want to not display it with it, because not only will it just get everywhere, I know it's gonna float around, all these little feathers are gonna float around, but it takes up room having her arms up like that. If it's not even gonna hold the boa over time, I can already see it's starting to fall off the hand. Right there. I don't know, as cool as it is, and it's just such a defining feature for this Gremlin. I know they had to have it, but I still think having the bottle, having her awkwardly pinch the bottle is what I'd rather display it as. Something more like this is what I'd rather display it as, and the articulation is, it feels limited. I'm not sure if it actually is, due to the skirt on the bottom, and her neck also feels pretty limited, even though that doesn't really need to go too many places because her jaw doesn't hinge open, so that doesn't really affect the neck position. But her legs are a bit difficult to stand. She has very little area that she sits upon, but it's not too horrible. It's not a big deal. I know it's definitely not ideal, but this is how I would much rather want to display this type of a figure. I mean, if you have the patience to work with the boa, then this is a great figure, especially if you want to display it that way. But otherwise, I think she still looks dope with just the potion. Still seeing the figure, I still view her as a little bit overhyped. Maybe even overappreciated. I don't know. I'm not trying to hate on the figure. It is a dope figure. It's a dope sculpt. But yeah, kind of cool. I don't know, man. Looking at these two figures, definitely the Santa Gremlin, I might be a bit biased towards, but I think it's a much better value, a much better figure overall. You're definitely going to have to pay more for that figure. It is a much rarer figure than the Greta. But if you put the prices aside, just looking at these two figures, the striped Santa Gremlin is much better in my opinion. But hey, if you like Greta, get Greta. Either way, I'd both classify them as dope.